Hello, folks. I'm here Saturday, February 28th at 10:12 p.m. The first thing I see is it's chutzpah time. That's classic. Thank you, Brian. Indeed, it's chutzpah time. We're going to get to chutzpah. We need a lot of chutzpah, I would say. Hello, Massachusetts. Oh no, Middletown, Connecticut. Denver, Colorado. Come on in, folks. M&Ms too. Yes, indeed. A fun M&M time was had by all. I'm glad you guys are all here, I will say. What a day. What a day. So Friday night or really early Saturday morning, the President of the United States decided to wage war against Iran. And he did it without consulting Congress. Congress has the power to declare war. He just did it. And he's conducting this warfare while he's at Mar-a-Lago. So he didn't even bother to go to Washington and the White House, where he has resources and the staff to help this happen in a responsible way. Nope. He's just going to hang in Florida. So this was an extreme version of the Friday night news drop, where you do it at that time because you assume it's not going to be get as much attention as it would if you dropped it during the week or during the day, although this would be hard. It'd be hard pressed for this not to get attention. But at any rate, the Friday night news drop, classic. And so here we are. And already bad things have happened. A school, we apparently bombed a school and killed scores of school children, murdered scores of school children. And if you wanted to rationalize this by saying, well, national security is at risk and this is an immediate, urgent moment to attack, saying maybe there might be a nuclear threat does not fit in that category. It does not justify this kind of an attack. So basically, this morning when I was talking with Heather, I said it was unconstitutional. She said it was extra constitutional. Doesn't even have anything to do with the Constitution. This is true. Now, let me talk for a few minutes on why, when the Constitution was written, it was so important for the president not to be able to just declare war. And I have a little passage here from the ratification debates in Virginia. So first you had the Constitutional Convention, where the Constitution was written, and then it was sent out to the states, who each had their own ratification meetings, conventions, and they debated whether each state wanted to ratify the Constitution. So this is Virginia, and Virginia here is talking about the power to declare war and where the power lies. Who gets to declare war? So here is what Governor Randolph of Virginia has to say. He says, okay, in England, the king declares war. In America, Congress must be consulted. In England, Parliament gives money. In America, Congress does it. There are consequently, and this is the key, more powers in the hands of the people and greater checks upon the executive here than in England. And he concludes by saying, our government is founded upon real checks. Consider that. So the point there is, part of the reason why Congress has this power is that if you're going to do something monumental, like go to war, it's the people in one way or another who should be in on that decision through their representatives. That's what that passage is saying. Now, it's totally worth saying it takes guts to check. Oh, there's the day when people actually valued checks. It's worth saying that that was the founding era, and the fact of the matter is, in the 20th century, presidents found all kinds of ways to sort of skirt or gloss or add, or so there has not been this clear path from war powers in the Constitution to war powers in the mid, late, and 20th century and beyond. Still, that said, it's one thing, as I mentioned a moment ago, to argue about national security and when there's a real crisis and you need immediate action, and another thing just to bomb a place because you've decided you want to, and maybe regime change would be good. So, okay, we, random country, will beam in and do that to another country. There's no logic here. Someone says, no, Rosie. Rosie is in her crouch and stare mode. It's true, I could have moved my furniture, but I was sorry about that, because I forgot about that, and I also was running around today, and now I haven't done a lot of running around recently, and I'm really tired, so I did not move the furniture, but I promise I will do it again. So yeah, some of you she's very quiet. She's just staring at me. So as someone said here just a moment ago, where is it here? The people must be the check. See, Congress is supposed to be a separate branch with checks. The Supreme Court is supposed to be a separate branch with checks, right? We have 3 branches of government with powers separated because the people organizing and creating the structure of our government were really worried about the placement of power. That's why the checks and the balances are so important, because they wanted to check power more than anything else. They were deciding where to place power, and they were particularly scared of a national executive, who ultimately came to be called president, who would have unlimited power. That was a person who could grab power and do whatever he wanted to do with that power, and that would be, on a bunch of levels, dangerous. So as I just read a moment ago, part of the idea of giving Congress such an important role here was so that essentially the people would be in on that kind of momentous decision about going to war. Sounds really straightforward. And on no level did we see even a gesture towards that with what's going on right now. So, so here we are in this moment. I think I said recently, I think maybe this morning or maybe yesterday, I don't know. Honestly, the problem with talking this much online is that I'm now forgetting where I said, what I said, and what I wanted to say. But there you go. Ron Water says, why has Congress abdicated their duty? That's an important point here, is that, and people keep saying it over and over, but that's because it's true. Republicans in Congress could end this by speaking up. They are the majority in Congress. And I have not done my due diligence of digging around to see what Republicans in Congress are saying. As far as I know, they're still out because folks aren't in Washington. Congress isn't in Washington right now. I think they come back on Monday. As Heather and I said this morning, it would be really smart of Democrats and anyone who actually doesn't like this war to come back and position themselves in Washington on the steps of the Capitol and say, we're the ones who make these decisions, and no, we weren't asked. So number one, this is all on him. And number two, this is supposed to be decided by us because it's a decision from you, right? Because who pays the price in war or in warfare? Who pays the price? The people, in every way possible, right? We pay money, our taxes, and go to pay for this kind of stuff, and lives of Americans can ultimately be paid for this kind of thing. Wars rest on the American people. That they just do. So a president who decides to charge in, have a military attack in this way with really no reason, for whatever reason he has, to distract from the Epstein files, to keep people looking and applauding him for being a great leader, doing great things. I mean, there's any number of different reasons. Because he can get away with it, because look at Venezuela, and he didn't pay any price there, so he can just keep doing it. And look how powerful I am. Who knows which of the many reasons he might have chosen to do this. But the checks and balances in the Constitution are one of the things that's supposed to prevent a president from doing this, because a president who just decides he wants to go to war just because he feels like it, that's a dictator. What I was building up to before was we're so far past the point where you can say, is this a constitutional crisis? Because he's just thrown the Constitution away. He clearly doesn't consider himself to be limited by it at all, right? The Supreme Court does things, makes decisions he doesn't like, so he just ignores the Supreme Court. Congress just cedes their power, so that the Republicans can stay in charge, right? Congress just says, okay, we're lining up. We're just saying yes. And I'm going to repeat what I've said many times before, which is, at this point, if you are a Republican who has a position of political power and you are not speaking up, oh, now we're getting some little peeps over there, and you are not speaking up against what is happening, you're not just complying, you're supporting it. This is a line drawing moment when you're either for it or against it, and there's no neutral ground. There's no neutral ground when lives are at stake in the way that they are right now. So no matter how much, if you think back, not that far back, when Republicans in Congress would be asked about something and they would say, lame excuses like, well, I didn't catch that. I don't know. Oh, did that happen? I haven't been keeping up. Right. We're not at a moment where that's going to fly. So here we are, not having a constitutional crisis, just having a crisis beyond the Constitution, because the Constitution seemingly doesn't matter. And if you're attacking another country, now she's got something to say. If you're attacking another country, and not only that, trying to, whether it's good or bad to depose the leader, whether the leader is bad and it would be a fine thing if they didn't have leadership, for us to zoom in and decide that we have the power to do that, folks, and this is the most obvious thing in the world to say, this country doesn't belong to him. He may think it does, but it doesn't, right? It's ours. And we will be paying for this in any number of ways. And he has absolutely no concern for anything except whatever is going to make him look good and feel good and will benefit him in some way in the moment. And that's it. And these are all the things that, the founding folk, for all of the things that they did right and wrong, they understood why demagogues and tyrants were bad people. They really did. They talked about it all the time. And we are living through a moment when that's very, very apparent. And Rosie totally agrees with me. The resistance bird is going full force. So at any rate, that's where we are. And so, it's a fraught moment. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what Iran is going to do. We don't know. And so I guess part of what I want to say this evening is I think one of our jobs at the moment is to stay on our feet and see what is happening around us and find ways to just state that's his war. That's not our war. That's his war. He owns it. It's all on him. The deaths that happen, they're his deaths. Because nobody else got a say. And the downside of being a dictator who does something like this is they're to blame. They may not want to be to blame. They may try and bounce around the blame and blame lots of other people. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of blame throwing and excuses and lies and everything else flying around in the near future. But in the end, it's his war, his combat, his military attack. He owns it. He didn't ask us. He didn't ask our representatives. It's his. So that's one thing to bear in mind and to be clear on. Unfortunately for foreign countries, that doesn't help much for us to say that because we are just a rogue country who just committed a rogue military act. The amount of destruction of our place in the world that has been done by him in a very short amount of time is mind-blowing. In so many ways, so much damage that will take a really, really long time to repair. But, in a way, this is like the logical buildup of murders, right? We had the bombing, the blowing up of ships, supposedly people running drugs into the United States, but there's no proof of that because we've never found out anything about those people. We have the killing of people, American citizens and not American citizens, in the process of trying to grab people and deport them or push them out of the way or whatever. We've had this administration killing people already, and Venezuela was another step, but this bombing a school, yep, they're right up in the realm of let's commit an immoral mass murder for no clear purpose, with no clear authority to do so. I mean, it's I think Heather and I said something like this morning. Being alive in historic times, what can I tell you? It is not an easy thing to be alive in historic times. And here we are. I'm not even going to go to the thanks, Joe Biden. Sorry, no. I'm in this moment. I'm in this moment with this president doing this thing. That's where I am. We can go back in time and talk about all the ways in which we've gotten to this moment. That's fine. But right now, blaming this on Joe Biden? No. No, I'm just not willing to go there, folks. This guy did this thing and he's responsible for this decision. We can have another conversation about the logic that got us here. That's not going to help this particular moment. What happens if we lose YouTube? That's another different conversation. At any rate, the curse of living in interesting times. What I want to say at this point, two things. And one of them is going to sound goofy, but I always want to encourage people to do this, and particularly at a moment like this where there's something clearly extreme that's happening, and it'll sound goofy, write down some thoughts about how you feel. Sit at your computer and for 10 minutes, or if you're a handwriting kind of person like I am, write down some thoughts on what this moment feels like and what you're seeing and what you're witnessing. It may seem frivolous or pointless, but I did that on 9/11. And that's beyond valuable to understand what that felt like. It will be valuable to historians in the future, so I'm partly biased in that way. But in moments like this, that are kind of off the charts, during the pandemic, I did the same thing. Take notes on what you're witnessing and what it feels like, partly because for the historical record, that kind of thing matters more than the official records. When I do my history, the best sources, and I'm writing about Congress, the best sources are private letters and diaries, because that's where people really tell you what they think. And as a matter of fact, the main character in my last book says, everyone should keep a diary, because that's the experience, the daily life of a nation, not the big guys in the big rooms passing bills. So that's a goofy thing, I would say. I'm trying to catch up on the comments. Yes. Oh gosh, Rosalie? Is it Rosalie? I'm probably getting your name wrong. I'm so effing tired. It is effing surreal. I'm exhausted. Yes. Let me address that for a minute. Living through this as a trained historian is insane, I will say. But let me talk about the exhaustion factor. We all totally have a right to feel exhausted right now, and to feel angry, and to feel demoralized, and to feel scared. Any and all emotions are valid, not just today with this happening, generally in this moment, but particularly in this moment. All totally valid. So don't kick yourself for having those feelings. And don't kick yourself for stepping back and taking a breather and catching your breath and not staying on top of the news a little while, to give yourself a chance to sort of get your feet back on the ground and be in this moment. Be nice to yourself. Help yourself and help others, help your neighbors, help your friends, help your loved ones in this moment, to remember that they are surrounded by loved ones and people who care about them, and that even in times like this, that exists, that always exists. And that's a way to plant your feet on the ground at a moment where it feels like the ground is slipping beneath you in many ways. Please be nice to yourselves in this moment. The best thing we can do right now is to keep going forward. Is to put one foot in front of another and keep going forward, and keep doing what Heather and I have been saying all along, to keep speaking up, to keep being loud, to keep pushing back in any way that we can. All of that is important. Even more important now, given that this is a non-people's war. It's not ours. It's important to say that a lot. It's important to speak up and call out what's happening, so that people don't fall into a sort of comfort pit of, oh, well, I guess we're at war. No, that is not a place where we should go as a people. Oh, well, I guess he put us in a war, he and his. It's his war, and we need to be clear about saying that whenever we can say that. His war, and those who support him, and those who support him by being silent. But in one way or another, it's their war. So we need to keep going forward. It's easy for me to say that. And I know a lot of us are freaked out at this particular moment. But the subtext of what I've been saying here this evening is the reason why Congress is supposed to have the authority to declare war is because that decision is supposed to come from we the people. Surprise! We the people are the ones who are supposed to essentially, through our representatives, give permission for this kind of act to happen. So in its own perverse way, what's happening now is a reminder, someone wrote, "Wee!" A reminder of the importance of the people in our government and of what the price is when a leader ignores that fact. It's a reminder of the vital importance of we the people in this government in making it run responsibly. Again, not in a perfect manner, but at least with some accountability. So you can see what happens when we the people have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on, not even just on the level of Congress. It becomes an attack on a whim, an attack on a small group of people's whim. That's all it is. And lives are being lost because of that. I wish I had better words to offer you at this moment. But the best words I can offer are, we need to keep going forward, folks. And if we need to lean on each other to keep going forward, then we need to. Be with your loved ones if you're really feeling overwhelmed. I mean, I got to play with Heather today in New York. That was really nice, right? Plant your feet on the ground if you're with people you care about, and that balance and emotion and stability is still there. Find a way to do some version of that for yourself. It matters. Oh, here, Nancy, her first live one. You guys are amazing. Look at you. What did we do? Well, one thing that Heather and I did, I posted a picture of it. Okay, so I have to tell you the ridiculousness. We decided, I said, well, why don't we go to the M&M store? I've never been inside the M&M store, and that seemed like a ridiculous thing, and maybe an appropriately ridiculous thing to do right now. So I'm standing on the sidewalk, and I'm like searching on my phone, looking for the M&M store, and Heather points, and like right in front of us is a flashing, huge yellow sign with an arrow pointing down saying, M&M store, enter here. So I failed in my New York tour guide task. I'm like, I guess there it is. At any rate, be there for yourself in whatever way you can do that. And turn to people who you trust to find out what's going on. Be careful where you're reading about what's going on, because a lot of people are going to have a lot to say, and there's going to be a lot of nonsense coming from some on the right to try in some way or other justify what's going on right now. I know M&Ms. This is kind of an M&M moment, right? I love the fact that this morning Heather and I discovered that the other one really likes M&Ms. That was, even in the worst of times, folks, humanness exists. It just does. As a historian, when I am working to understand the past, the humanness of the past is crucial to try and figure out how and why people are doing what they do. And it really matters now to us. And down the road, when historians look back at this moment, however the hell we get out of it, the same thing will be true. Anyway, you guys are like, you're all here. Right, there you go. Biter monkey. I won't let the fascists take away my enjoyment of life, right? Someone online asked me, why did I post the silly thing like Heather and I standing in the middle of the M&M store at a moment like this? And I understand the question. I don't blame someone for asking that question. But folks, don't ever forget that you matter, that you count, that your life matters, that your living of your life matters, and that none of us can be everywhere all the time for all of the people in all of the ways that we may feel we need to be during a moment of crisis. No one can do that. No one. So wherever we end up going forward, position yourself in your head as a person who matters, whose existence matters, who should be particularly treated nicely at a moment that is exhausting us all. We're not made for this kind of crap. We're not made to exist in a moment that every 10 minutes we have to worry about some other horrible disaster or catastrophe. We're not supposed to exist in a world where you wake up in the morning and you do the dumb thing of picking up your phone and it says, oh, we bombed Iran yesterday. That's not how people are supposed to live. Not on an ongoing basis, not in a way that suggests it's normal. We're not somehow lesser beings for not wanting to live in this kind of moment and not necessarily being skilled at it. So, give yourself some grace in this moment. We keep moving ahead. We keep doing what we have to do. We keep pushing back and speaking up. But give yourself some grace. This stinks. This is ugly and immoral and inhumane on every level. It's murder, and it's unjustified murder based on our money. It's ugly. There's no two words about it, and it's unacceptable. But give yourself grace in navigating this moment. Because it's a hard moment to navigate. And we are now in a moment where we're going to be more worried when we wake up in the morning as to what's going on, because now things are even less stable than they were before. So find ways to be good to yourself. Find ways to be with loved ones to steady you. Because what this whole regime is about is inhumanity, is a lack of empathy, a lack of understanding, a lack of humanity, a lack of kindness. And all of those things are what we can hang on to as fundamental stabilizing things that remind us of who people are supposed to be and what holds real meaning in life. We're at this weird moment. I know I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. We're at this weird moment where empathy and kindness and thoughtfulness are acts of resistance. That is where we are. So practice that resistance, among other things. Don't forget to be nice to yourself and others, because they are trying to create a world where we're just scared all the time. And we can be more thoughtful than that. We can think more about what's going on than that. We can not necessarily believe all of the lies that they're going to throw our way, and we can rely on each other to help us navigate the moment that we're in. I think that's what I'm going to say for tonight. I think I'm fully petered out. Okay, that's good. Someone says my sleep problem is solved. I sure hope my sleep problem is solved. At any rate, I wanted to beam in you guys. See, you guys have a great sense of humor. Teresa says, kindness is resistance. Oh, I've screwed up already. I love you guys. I truly do. At any rate, give yourself grace, folks. I will be back sooner rather than later, because we all need to be here with each other, with a community of people who care profoundly about this moment and about being with other people in this moment to help us navigate what happens as we go ahead. So I must say, we need a freaking bat cave full of chutzpah, right? Two people told me I can buy a bigger can of chutzpah if I need to, and I will. I will have a bigger can of chutzpah coming down the pike, but we need it now, number one. Number two, be there for your neighbors and be there for yourself. This is hard. Give yourself grace and give others grace. And be strong and of good courage. Those words seem to fit this moment particularly well. I love you guys for being here. I love you for caring. I love you for engaging with each other here every time I beam in, and showing the humanity and the kindness and the empathy and the realness that is out there. I understand people are saying I'm a mess, and I get that, guys. I really, really get that. Trust me. But we can do this in one way or another together as real people surrounded by the real people we care about. Okay. I love you guys. I am going to sign off, and as ever, crash and go to bed. Take care of yourself. Rosie has gone back to her fierce go to bed now pose, so I'm going to listen to her too. You guys are great, and you will see me in one way or another soon, hopefully with more words of wisdom, I hope. Sleep well, everybody, okay? Take care of yourselves. More soon. Bye, everybody.